The entire restaurant went silent when the manager's voice cut through the dinner rush. "You're fired, Emma, right now, in front of everyone." The words hit like a slap. Plates clinked softly, forks paused in midair, and dozens of strangers turned to watch the young waitress standing in the middle of the crowded Toronto cafe. Emma's cheeks burned red as she clutched the order pad in her trembling hands. I didn't do anything wrong," she whispered. But the manager only scoffed. "You embarrassed the restaurant," the customer complained. "Pack your things." A man at table 7 had claimed Emma spilled coffee near his expensive suit. In truth, the man had knocked it himself, but he was loud, wealthy, and important. Emma was just another struggling waitress trying to survive in a city where rent swallowed most of her paycheck. She lowered her head, blinking back tears. Humiliation burned in her chest as the customers whispered around her. "Poor girl, that's harsh." Emma slowly untied her apron. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped it. She had worked here for 2 years. Late nights, double shifts, smiling through exhaustion, and now it was over. As she turned to leave, the small silver pendant around her neck slipped from beneath her collar. It swung gently in the restaurant lights. At that exact moment, a man seated quietly near the window froze. He had been watching silently the entire time. Tall, well-dressed, and calm, he didn't look like someone who needed attention. In fact, most people in the restaurant hadn't even recognized him. But across Canada, his face was known. Daniel Whitmore, a billionaire investor and philanthropist who had built one of the country's largest tech companies. And right now, his eyes were locked on Emma's pendant. His expression changed instantly. Shock, confusion, then something deeper. He stood so suddenly his chair scraped loudly against the floor. Everyone turned again. Emma paused near the door, wiping tears from her eyes. Daniel slowly walked toward her, his gaze never leaving the necklace. "Excuse me," he said gently. Emma looked up, startled. "Yes." Daniel pointed carefully toward the pendant. "Where did you get that?" Emma instinctively touched the small silver charm hanging from the chain. It was shaped like a tiny maple leaf with a faint engraving in the center. "Oh, this," she said quietly. "It belonged to my mom." Daniel's face went pale. "Your mother," he repeated softly. "What was her name?" Emma hesitated. The entire restaurant was now watching. Her name was Sarah Bennett. For a moment, Daniel Whitmore didn't breathe. Memories crashed into him like a wave. 23 years ago, a freezing winter night in Vancouver. A young, desperate man with nothing in his pockets and no future in sight. Daniel had been sleeping in his car back then. Broke, hungry, ready to give up, until a stranger had knocked on his window. A young waitress named Sarah. She had handed him a warm bowl of soup and a small envelope with $20 inside. "I don't know what you're going through," she had said with a gentle smile, "but don't give up. The world still needs you." Daniel had never forgotten that night. That kindness had kept him going. Years later, when his company succeeded, he searched for her, but Sarah Bennett had disappeared from the city. Now, standing in front of him, was her daughter. Daniel looked at Emma with disbelief and emotion. "Your mother," he said quietly, "once saved my life." Emma blinked, confused. "What?" Daniel took a slow breath. "When I had nothing, when I was sleeping in my car, she helped me. She didn't know who I was or what I'd become. She just helped because she had a good heart." Emma's eyes widened. "My mom never told me that." Daniel nodded gently. "That sounds exactly like her." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel glanced toward the manager who had fired Emma just minutes earlier. His voice became calm, but firm. "Did you just fire her?" The manager suddenly looked nervous. "Well, sir, there was a complaint and—" "I saw what happened," Daniel interrupted. Silence spread across the restaurant. Daniel turned back to Emma. "Your mother once believed in a stranger when nobody else did." His voice softened. "And today, I'd like to return that kindness." Emma stared at him, unsure what he meant. Daniel smiled slightly. "My company is opening a new community cafe in Toronto next month. It will employ people who need second chances." He paused. "And I think it needs a manager." Emma's mouth fell open. "A manager? You've spent years working hard in places that didn't respect you," Daniel said. "But I believe people like you, people raised by someone like your mother, deserve better. The entire restaurant sat in stunned silence. Emma's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they weren't from humiliation. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Daniel smiled warmly. Say yes. Emma laughed softly through her tears. Yes. Customers around the restaurant suddenly began clapping. Even some staff members joined in. The manager who had fired her looked like he wanted to disappear. But Emma barely noticed. For the first time that night, she felt something stronger than embarrassment. Hope. Daniel glanced once more at the small silver pendant. Your mother changed my life with a single act of kindness, he said. Then he looked at Emma. And now her kindness is changing yours too. Because sometimes, the smallest act of compassion doesn't just help someone in the moment. Sometimes, it echoes for decades. And when it comes back around, it can change everything.